Hello everybody, it's time for an update. I know I look like I'm in the same place, and I am more or less in the same place as I started my last update, but this time I put 3 more kilometers on the clock before stopping, so my fitness is improving. This is my routine, my annual cycle, so I get my fitness up over the winter months. And in the summer, when it's impossible to run because of the heat, my fitness goes to pot. And then comes September, October, and the weather starts easing up a little bit, and I start getting back into training and getting my fitness back up again. I will have this has absolutely nothing to do with the current update, but I just have to brag a little that at age 50. I set my personal record for half marathon just this year. And for those to whom it means anything, that was 1 hour 52 and change in the Tel Aviv marathon. So there's still a possibility that my best times are still ahead of me. I like to think of that as a general thing, actually, that in general in life, it's a great philosophy to have, that my best work is still ahead of me. And I try to live by that. Anyways, you tuned in not for me to brag about my running times, but to hear an update from Israel. And obviously I'm not going to bring you up to date on the news, because by the time I post this, anything I tell you will be out of date. But as at this moment, we still haven't sent troops into Gaza. I think we're still turning the screws on them and softening them up so that our troops can take on a weakened enemy. Awesome. Yesterday, sadly, I had to attend the funeral of my colleague Shlomi Savidia, who was murdered at the music festival on Simchat Torah. Unfortunately, I didn't know Shlomi well. I met him a few times in the office, exchanged niceties, had some light chats and whatever. But he was a good guy. I could tell he was a good guy, because he always had this big smile on his face. He was a good guy. What can I say? It was a very difficult funeral, and it was a little unsettling, because for you people who live outside of Israel, you're kind of used to people being buried in coffins. In Israel, the practice is to just bury somebody in a shroud, in a shroud, wrapped up in a sheet, a prayer shawl sometimes, and that's always been the Jewish custom over here in Israel. Shlomi, however, was buried in a coffin. And I'll just give you a couple seconds to let that sink in. And I won't say too much more about that. But yeah. Anyways, Hashem Yimkom Damo, and his family should be comforted. Anyways, Ramat Beit Shemesh has been mostly quiet. Since Simchat Torah, we've had exactly one siren, and which once again happened while I was in shul, and we had to go under the balcony for protection, and then a minute later we came out, so we're largely unaffected. I was very inspired by the site lead of Service Now Israel, Adar Margalit, who told us all about his part-time hobby, his medical clowning. Which is very funny to think about. The boss of a big business in Israel, 200 plus employees, and in his spare time he goes out to hospitals and other places where people need cheering up, and he just clowns for them, which is an amazing thing. So what did he do? He went to a hotel or hostel or something where some people had been evacuated from the settlements around Gaza, and spent some time giving them something to smile about. So inspired by that, I took my son Ezra and some other friends and musicians, and went to a local hostel in Beit Shemesh where 80 people from Netivot are being housed temporarily until it's safe for them to go back to their homes. And we put on a musical evening for them. Nice little concerts, which was really lovely. It was, I think they really appreciated it. It gave them a big lift, and it gave us a big lift, because it's also, it's also psychologically important for those of us who are not on the front lines to feel like we're contributing. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel good to be sitting and doing nothing while our soldiers are putting their lives on the line, and other people are struggling. So, by the way, that's a lesson for life. If you're watching the news anxiously and doom scrolling through Twitter or Facebook or whatever other your social media you're addicted to, and just feeling really anxious and hit up about the situation, the best thing that you can do is get involved from wherever you are. And it doesn't matter if you're in Israel or outside of Israel. Obviously, if you're in Israel, there are millions of opportunities for you to get involved in stuff over here, to make a meaningful contribution, to whether you're going and cleaning the wards in a hospital because when there's a complete closure on all of the territories, so the Arab workers can't get to work. And who's left cleaning the floors? Well, nobody. Oh crumbs! There's a siren right now. Excuse me. And there I was saying that things were quiet over here. Okay, I'm going to have to dive for cover right now. Excuse me, I'm going to get into this building over here. I just got here in time. Okay, well, the door's locked. I guess I'm going to stand under the shelter. This is the best place to be. Yeah. Well, it would be good if we could, but it's locked. So, I'm busy live streaming. Isn't that fun? You don't want to be on the camera? No. Okay, fine. Okay, well, say hello.
Hi.
I'm just putting this out to people. So this is probably about the best place we can be at the moment. But yeah. Well, didn't expect that to happen. That was a great one to catch on camera. You can hear it all. Here, I'll turn the camera around. Anything happening? Maybe I can buzz on one of these doors or something. Oh, mind you, it's not really going to help me to buzz on the doors because everyone is inside their apartments. Okay, you hear that? That's Iron Dome. There should be a couple more of those, hopefully. Okay, now we wait here for a bit, because there might be bits of fallout. Another one. There's another boom there of an Iron Dome. You hear that? Can you hear a few more explosions going off in the distance? Well, okay. I'm gonna assume it's okay now. What's about? Oh well, then it goes and life goes back to normal. Isn't it cool living in Israel? Can never say things are dull here. Right. I was in the middle of something, wasn't I? I was saying something, oh yes, about a little Kumzitz, and about getting involved and opportunities to do good. If you're in Israel, there are tons of things to do. Right, I remember now, and we're talking about cleaning hospitals, and aside from packaging food for soldiers, the poor darlings are going to be like the Pillsbury Doughboy by the time we're finished giving them cupcakes and chocolate chip cookies and whatever else in the world. Yeah. Honestly, I don't actually know how Hamas still is able to launch missiles. If we have total air superiority over Gaza, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just being a very dumb civilian, because obviously there are good reasons for this, but I'm just not really understanding how it is that you can have total air superiority, you're waging a full-on war, and you've got freedom to bomb the hell out of anyone who attacks you. How is it that any missile launcher gets to launch more than once? Because you've got drones in the sky seeing exactly where everything's coming from, and 10 seconds after they've launched, that's it. There should be another missile landing exactly where that missile launcher came from, irrespective of collateral damage. It has to be done. Anyways, I don't know, I'm just a civilian. Maybe if you have some ideas about what's going on, please stick them in the comments below this video. Meanwhile, I also wanted to give you some chizuk about how things that you should do and things that you should not do. Things that you should do: absolutely volunteer, try and get material to Israel, donate to different causes that are providing equipment and whatever else to Israel. I must tell you the most incredible thing. I mean, first of all, absolute kudos to a bunch of politicians that I've never liked before, but now I suddenly really like. Joe Biden, first and foremost, for giving an absolutely rousing speech, and absolute kudos to whoever wrote that speech for him. It was like really rousing, powerful stuff, and got to give credit where credit is due. That was great, and we feel the support and love. Thank you very much. We also very much appreciate the fact that America is sending somewhere between 900 million to $1 billion worth of aid in terms of supplies and whatever for Israel. But I also want it to be known that in the first week of the war, private Jewish donors across America donated twice that number already. So, Ein Ka'am Israel, there are wonderful people out there who are just giving everything they can, and whatever you can contribute is gonna be appreciated, and will go towards helping to keep us safe and to rebuild after this is all over. Things that you should not do. Please, please, please do not fall temptation to signing petitions against the siege on Gaza. I've heard this, unfortunately, from some very well-meaning people, and it's very difficult to see the images that are coming out from foreign media that are talking about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. And one, don't automatically believe everything that you see coming out of Gaza, because, as you know, it's fog of war, and there are it's a propaganda war on both sides. No, don't believe anything. But they say that they don't have any water, which is an utter lie, because Israel only ever provided about 10% of Gaza's water. So that portion has been cut off, but they've still got their own water sources. So don't suddenly believe that that they have no water, because they do have water. If the civilians don't have water and Hamas do, that's on Hamas, not on us. Electricity, well, okay, that's kind of too bad, because the electricity is what's used to manufacture the weapons that are sent against us. Sorry, we're not going to provide you with that anymore. What else? Yeah, I mean, you know that that the IDF is trying its very best to get civilians out of the operational areas. They're telling people to get south, and Hamas is actively preventing them from doing so because Hamas wants civilian casualties to shove in your face and make you feel bad and put pressure on Israel to stop fighting. Okay, so nobody in Israel wants to kill civilians of any kind. Okay, but we unfortunately have a reality of an asymmetrical warfare where Hamas both tries to inflict civilian casualties on our side and on their side, because then they can use that as for their propaganda machine. They don't care about Palestinians, they care about killing Jews. This is the only thing that Hamas cares about, is about killing Jews. Okay, so please do not sign any petitions that give any kind of strength or support to the enemy. Okay, as much, and I know it's coming from a good place, but please don't do it. And if you want to sign any petitions, here are some good ones. Sign a petition for Hamas to surrender. Sign a petition that Hamas must release all of our babies. They have babies as hostages. Okay? Babies as hostages. This is the kind of sick, I don't even want to say animal, that we're talking about. This is ISIS, this is Daesh, this is Al Qaeda, but the worst of the darkest of humankind. Okay, if you want to put pressure on Hamas and say, you know, if they had to surrender, if they really cared about the Palestinian people, they would surrender their entire leadership, lay down their weapons, raise the white flag, and release the hostages, and say, okay, we're gone. We're prepared to face trial, and just, like, you know, let our people live. But of course, you know, and I know they're not going to do that, because that's not what they're about. They don't care about their people. They just care about killing Jews. That's it. Okay, so that's one. Number two, how about putting some pressure on Qatar? So now, I don't know if you recall, after 9/11, when it was very clear that Osama bin Laden had orchestrated the attacks on the World Trade Center, the US, backed by the world, sent an ultimatum to Afghanistan, where he was known to be hiding, and said, hand him over. And Afghanistan said no, and the US said, very well then, you shall bear the consequences. And they did. Now, I cannot see how this is one bit different from Qatar right now, which is housing Ismail Haniyeh, Yimach Shamo, and all the rest of the Hamas leadership. Why in the world are we not pressuring Qatar to hand these guys over? And I'm saying, you heard me pause there for a second, because I'm having to restrain myself for a general audience, because I was so going to swear there. But Qatar must be held accountable. I'm sorry. This is no time for pussyfooting around. They are harboring terrorists who set up the murder of thousands of innocents, and they need to be held to account. And speaking of Qatar, and sort of segueing into matters relating to sport, I have to give a salute to the Glazer family that owns Manchester United for refusing the Sheikh of Qatar, and I've forgotten his name right now, but congratulations for refusing his very generous buyout offer, because he is the scum who is hosting the scum that are the Hamas leadership, and he should not be allowed to sports wash his war crimes, his filthy behavior, his anti-Semitism, his hosting of murderers. Don't let him sports wash it. And for anyone who's thinking of having him buy out their club, and I'm looking at you, Spurs supporters, don't fall into temptation to that will to be bought out by Qatar blood money. It's a sick thing, and I said online, if not that it's ever been seriously proposed, although it is being sort of twittered about in the Twitter space, the possibility of him deciding to take his money and buy another club. The day the Qataris buy Spurs is the day I take all of my Spurs merch and burn it. And speaking of which, you will notice I'm not wearing a Spurs shirt today, because I'm really, really upset with my club, who have taken the cowardly way out of this situation, where every other opportunity They've stood with Ukraine, they've stood with France, they've stood with every other cause in the world. Black Lives Matter, whatever the heck you want. When there's no risk to them, then they're all there for all the virtue signaling. But for their own club that has such a strong tie to the Jewish community, for their own player, Manor Solomon, an Israeli, a proud Israeli who plays for the club, they haven't said a freaking word, not a word of support for Manor and the Jewish people. And that is utterly shameful. Shame on you, Tottenham. I'm utterly disgusted with you. I had an interview on what's it called, on British TV, Talk TV, on Friday afternoon, just before Shabbos came in. It was a rather tight little affair. But it was a very sympathetic interview with Peter Caldwell. I'll put a link if I can on this video so you can take a look at that. Okay, well, after a brief interlude, I'm arrived home and I'm enjoying a nice cool glass of water and finished ranting about football for now, I think. And is there anything else that I wanted to say? Yeah, I'll tell you what, we're doing okay over here. I think the morale is actually incredibly high. I shared a joke that Gary Kasparov shared. It's apparently doing the rounds in Russia. So what do Russia and Israel have in common when they mobilize their armies? And the answer is long lines for flights to Tel Aviv. Yeah, that's exactly the thing. That's the incredible Israeli spirit. Is that any other country, when we're at war, when you're at war, God forbid you shouldn't ever be at war, but people run away from war zones. In Israel, people who are abroad run towards it because this is our home. We have no other place, and even Israelis who are living abroad will come back because of a shared mutual responsibility. This is one big community. This country is one big community, and we have a lot of arguments between us. I tell you what, but when it comes down to the crunch, it's one family, and we're all there together. And I had this moment at Shlomi's funeral yesterday. It was a very, very tough moment when his mother and his grandmother were just howling. It was the most awful crying, and I couldn't help but have a tear brought to my eye. And I saw standing next to me was a guy I've never seen before in my life, secular guy, and he was also obviously overcome with emotion. So I just reached out my arm and put it around him, and I think he was a little taken aback for a second. Then he just put his arm around me as well, and we just stood there like that for a minute or two, just not saying anything. I didn't know him, he didn't know me, and we just had a moment of saying, you're my brother. Whoever you are, you're my brother. And we're in this together. We're going to be okay. Ezrat Hashem, will be okay. We'll pull through, and we're going to come through stronger than ever before. I don't know what it's going to look like, but you can bet it's going to be better. Keep positive, keep thinking good things, and stop the doom scrolling. Just get involved in a positive way, and don't look at the ugly videos. Look at positive things and keep yourselves up. I'm Yisrael Chai. It's all going to be for the good. Keep well.